Welcome to another episode of the Two for One podcast. I'm your host, Dion, and alongside me, as always, on a Monday night, joining me from just east of Hopkins International Airport, the one and only Josiah Cook. Josie, how are you handling OKC's second loss of the season?
We're doing what we can. There were some tears shed. Can't
Oh,
lie.
we have so many first round draft picks.
We're only
No,
24 and
no.
2.
Yeah, we're doing okay. I think we'll take the game off. You know
The
what I mean?
Clippers are a bottom five team in the NBA.
Yeah, fair enough. If anything, it might be beneficial for you guys to avoid playing that 83rd game at the end of the day. And joining me from an undisclosed location, somewhere in between Philadelphia and New York City, it is the great Nate Taylor. Nate, do you want the Knicks to raise a banner of some kind if they win the NBA Cup tomorrow?
Yeah, they have to do it because they made the Lakers do it. They made the Bucks do it. Um, we already know all the jokes that are going to be coming the minute that it happens if they do win it. So honestly, either way, whatever happens is cool with me because if they win it, then Brunson gets a cool little Cup Finals MVP, and I get to go on my little Brunson Glaze propaganda streak again. But if they win, then I have to see. Oh my God, it's the only banner that Knicks fans are going to see for their whole life. Like they're never going to see a banner again. Enjoy this banner, New York. You're never going to see a banner again. And then I'll have to just go on my burner account and start arguing with people
Just
online for like
unloading.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
hours.
are we calling it a banner? Is that?
I mean, is it usually when something is hanging and it's made out of cloth and it has words on it, that would typically be what it's called, Dion.
I think you could call it a ribbon. You could call it a.
No, because that's not what a ribbon is. A ribbon is a stream of like cloth that is completely different. Like a ribbon would be tied. You don't tie banners.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Well, good luck in
God.
pursuing that banner tomorrow night. Obviously, the NBA Cup final is tomorrow, and that's, of course, what I want to talk about today, fellas. Now, you will notice, obviously, of
Well, it's
course,
actually
today.
today when this episode's
That
coming
fair
out.
enough.
So
Yes, by
be
the time people
correct.
are listening, yes, the cup final will be today. But as we record here, it is December 15th, which does officially mark the beginning of trade season in the NBA. The majority of players, like somewhere between 80 and 90% of guys, are now eligible to be traded. Even the ones that got signed in the offseason, say for like a Jonathan Kuminga or something like that. We'll have to wait another month. But as we know, that's not usually when trades kick off. I'm not expecting any Shams bombs in the next 24 hours. So we're going to save trade discussion for next week. I want to really focus on the NBA Cup today. Do a little bit of a cup check, if you will. Just
I'm gonna check
discussing,
your cup.
what we have enjoyed about the cup so far, and then just moving forward, just some tweaks or some alterations that we'd like to see. I know I've got a laundry list of things that I'd like to see changed about the cup. But I just want to start off by talking about the basketball itself. Obviously, both quarterfinals games were extremely entertaining, with the Knicks taking care of the Magic, and then obviously the Spurs handing OKC their second loss of the year. Now, I was going to ask, because unfortunately Mitch is not here with us today, and he is relatively unbiased compared to you two fellas. Obviously, your team is making it all the way to Vegas. But I guess I'll just kind of ask this open-ended, like, do you guys, short of, of course, your team is making deep runs in this tournament, do you guys feel like you cared more about these like cup games more than you would just for like a typical regular season game?
I'll let Josie give his take off first because I have some really controversial things to say.
Okay.
No,
Tell
I
me what you
Oh,
got.
Alex Jones over there. So
definitely not Alex Jones. Okay.
Whoa.
I for my favorite team, I enjoyed the games more than a regular season game. Like you said, we won all the whatever the regular season cup games are called, the
The group
group
stage, yeah,
stage.
group stage.
There you go. So yes, I might be a little bit biased, but I do feel like the players care a little bit more about those games, and you
That's
can see it.
So like aside from like the OKC games, like for me, you saw also like the other random games you're tuning into, like they cared more. Like for me, like they just cared more. Like there was that little bit of extra edge. Even I think more so from the role players who actually clearly wanted that money. Like Tyler Kolek, I know this
Hmm.
is on my team or whatever, but on the Knicks, like Tyler Kolek played with the best effort and had one of his best games of the season against the Magic. You could see how bad these guys wanted. He talked about it himself. He wanted to use the money to buy his dad a car. So like the guys who aren't making a ton of money, they really do care about this. So you're getting the extra added effort, even if it might not be from the top stars. But I think you've seen these top stars, like they care about the money that it's going to be getting for the younger guys, or for the guys who might be on the minimum contracts.
Hmm.
And even just for the other guys, I mean, like $100,000 of uh, when you advance or advancing to the finals, is that what it is? You get
Yeah,
100K.
Hmm.
yeah,
That's not insignificant to any of these guys, no matter how much they make. I think you could really see that. I would say it sits somewhere between a playoff game and a regular season game.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it is more intense than a regular season game, but I don't feel like guys are actually like, giving it a 100%, but
I,
maybe 95%.
there's kind of like a scale to me because you have the games like the OKC Spurs game to me that did feel like a playoff game. To me, that was
Yeah.
you don't tell me what kind of game that was. You don't put any date on it. You just blindly show me a game at some random point in time. Get rid of the fancy court or whatever. I could have told you that that was a playoff game. And to me, there are the games where it's two lesser teams and it might not feel as tight, where it feels more like okay, this is like a regular season plus game. That's how I describe it. And then you have the medium tier where it's like, okay, this feels like a playoff game, but then it starts to dwindle down at the end, and you see one team just start running up points against the other team for the point differential and whatnot.
Hmm.
But I think you do have the games where it's the best teams and it's the best guys wanting to prove on the biggest stage, like when you're playing in Las Vegas. You don't want to get shown up in Vegas in front of a national audience. You want to go out there and play well. Even if it's not the same stage that the NBA finals are, you are still playing in front of a huge audience on a big stage where there are high stakes, whether you may be fond of those stakes or not. So I think overall you do see a lot of that playoff atmosphere, even if not every game is OKC versus, the Spurs.
Right. Yeah, I think regular season plus is a really good way to put it. And back to the point about like the money incentivizing the players, like yeah, I think like you were saying, Josie, $100,000. I don't care who you are. That's a significant lump sum right there that you're getting. Like even a guy like Keldon Johnson who makes like $20 million a year, he's very very excited about the opportunity to buy
You
himself a
just add a
llama.
T
He's
into his name,
What'd you say?
Keldon Johnston.
I didn't. No, I don't know. I didn't mean to throw a T in there if I did. But
Oh, okay. I was confused. I was like, is this a new human that I have not heard of? Is
no,
he's
no, no.
like some new undrafted player in the Miami Heat?
No, no, not
Okay.
that I know of at least. Who knows? But
Okay.
no, Mr. Man, I love Keldon, aka Milk. He's have you guys seen that?
No.
It's just I think it actually originated from like a Spurs social media account. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's just Keldon Johnson's face on a carton of milk, and
Man,
it
I
just says
love
milk.
Keldon.
Man, I love Keldon. But
That's so
it
funny
was
too, because everyone hated him like a few years ago, including myself. I've
yeah,
lightened
no,
up on
he's
him.
he's been in this new role this season. He's been like way more enjoyable to watch, I would say. But yeah, I mean, there was just like this big story about how like he wants to use the money to buy himself a llama. He's got like I guess a bunch of farmland outside of San Antonio. He's got a bunch of chickens, goats, etc., and he wants a llama. So
Dude, I can't. I will not be mad if the Knicks lose and Keldon Johnson gets to buy himself a llama. I
yeah,
think that's
right,
a good cause.
right. And then like you think
Maybe the
about like
Knicks should
Desmond.
actually just throw in the towel just so Keldon
just
Johnson can go buy his
just so
llama.
Keldon could get the llama. And then you think about like Desmond Bain, like he made the joke he was trying to get his money back after playing dodgeball with OG Anunoby. So he was trying to get that fine money back. It's like $100,000. I don't care who you are, it makes a big difference. So it definitely you can tell that it definitely makes the difference for the players. But I think it doesn't really make a difference to me personally as a fan. I don't really care that much that Nemi Skata and them boys had the chance to go out and get $100,000. Like even though that's my favorite player, that's not enough incentive for me. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. Ways that the NBA Cup could really improve. Because I like at the end of the day, where I fall with the cup, I do respect the cup. I do think it's nothing but additive. Like they're just regular season games at the end of the day. Like tomorrow's game is the only thing that's getting added to the schedule. So they're regular season games nonetheless. So it's only additive from that perspective. But I just don't feel like there's enough of an incentive for the fans to really care. And I've
So I
been
keep for
racking my brain trying to come up with the best solution. I have a couple ideas I'm gonna throw at you guys. But what sort of things do you guys think could improve like the incentive for the fan side of things?
Well,
crickets, crickets, crickets. Oh,
they initially talked about a tiebreaker kind of advantage you would get
Hmm.
for winning the cup, which was basically you would hold it a tiebreaker over any other team. I'm pretty sure is how it would work. So I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
that actually kind of goes hand in hand with what I had, but keep going, sorry.
yeah, I think Shams initially reported this and then they walked it back and never implemented it. It was one of those things. But that idea was really good. I actually put it into my fantasy leagues in season tournament.
Mm.
So hey, um, I want to see that play out. But just something that adds to the competitive nature of the actual season that makes the cup like tie into the season more, something like that, or maybe a seeding guarantee or something like
what I
that.
think would be really interesting if the losing every time you lost the game, like in the cup, you had to sacrifice a player. So every time like you lose, you have to like
Cut a player out of the rotation for the remaining games?
like sacrifice them to like
Oh, okay, okay,
some
yeah, like blood sacrifice.
something out I guess
Okay, yeah.
like some Game of Thrones type shit.
Might be a step
Yeah.
too far, but I think I did think of the idea of like, what if the team who wins the cup gets some sort of like trade exception? of some amount so that they can
No,
Okay.
add a
hell
player.
no. Really? That's kind of crazy.
I think it
You
might,
just
yeah,
get
it
to
might be a little
break.
bit, it
Because
might be
what?
a little
Let's
too
say
far.
the Thunder do it. You want to give the Thunder a trade exception, man?
Yeah, I know. I don't love that idea, but I'm just trying to think of ways because what I think you can't do because, and obviously we know the real reason was dollar bills, just trying to get Emirates to give Adam Silver $1 billion to name the cup or whatever it was. Like that was the ultimate reason why they did this was for money, obviously. But it was sold to us as this idea of like we're trying to make the regular season more competitive. So I think if you go the route of like guaranteeing a playoff seed or something like along those lines, then it kind of does the opposite. Because like say the Spurs win tomorrow and it means like okay, now you're guaranteed the 4 seed. Then I think by the time we get to like post All-Star break, the Spurs are sitting around like that 6 seed range. They're just gonna go, okay, like we can still make the playoffs, but we're guaranteed top 4 seed. Like we're just gonna kind of like shut Wemby down or like limit his minutes or something like that.
Yeah,
And then
that
it
would
kind
not
of
be
just
fair.
goes
That'd be
against.
stupid. That'd be stupid.
That's what I mean. It
Well,
just flies in the face of like the whole original idea, supposedly behind the
Well,
cup.
I think we talked about having a little later in the season. I feel like you could still make it maybe a week to 2 weeks later in the season,
Definitely. Yeah.
which would just, I mean, that doesn't really do anything overall for, I guess, like
I
the
would say, well,
fundamental
my
issues of the
idea,
tournament. That just helps more so the fact that like the bad teams won't like, or the good teams will have time to gel. The bad teams
right?
will have more time to figure out who the bad teams are. Like the Chicago Bulls would have maybe gone 0-4 in the group stage if it happened a week or two
Yeah.
later. Man, they stink. I'm not going to go on a Bulls rant right now, but I think it's hard to really say one specific thing will change it because that's always what we've done with the All Star game too. Because what will get players to play harder? We've tried money. We've tried changing. I don't know. They changed the format. What area do you look at to attack and say this is what we have to kind of tweak to make players play harder to make these games mean more?
So I think besides the money, one thing kind of going along with what Josie was saying with the tiebreaker stuff, I think what would make a lot of sense is, and maybe even I would go a step further. So I think that the teams that make it to the cup final, that win counts on their schedule. So like they just get kind of like an extra win there. And then by winning the cup final, you get another win added. So like say the Knicks win tomorrow. They would essentially get 2 extra wins added to their regular season total, and you can kind of use that as like a tiebreaker. Because I think a lot of times what we're going to see now as the league trends more towards this like parity, I think we're going to see on a year-to-year basis like the 2 through 7 seed or like the 3 through 9 seed. They're going to be separated by like 1 game or 2 games. So I think by having the extra 2 wins by winning the cup, and then I would even give the 1 win to a team that makes it to the cup from the other conference. I think adding that to their like win-loss record, I think would be a really good tiebreaker. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. In regards to it fucking with history, I'm a stickler for that. Like I hate
Hmm.
records being changed through history. That's why I will never ever even be slightly open to the idea of changing the 82 game season
Right.
because I think that is blasphemous. I don't think you can do that. Yeah, I think I'd lean towards no just because I really don't like the changing the amount of games. Like the Bucks
I
played
think
did the Bucks play 83 games last year technically? Like did their
Right.
record
Yeah, it was
reflect
an
it? No.
83rd game, but yeah, the cup final doesn't count towards the regular season record. I think if we went with that strategy and like say like the Thunder were to end up winning it and then they break the wins record or whatever, I think we would all kind of recognize where those extra 2 wins came from. Like if they got to like 72, right? And
Yeah,
then
but the
they get the
official
extra two.
record book is gonna say Oklahoma City Thunder and it's gonna stink.
Well, I think we could kind of,
Not because it's the
finagle
Thunder.
it.
Like I'm not saying like fuck the
Yeah, I
Thunder.
get you,
Like
but it is an easy example to use. But I think we could finagle it to say like it doesn't count for like the records, it just counts for like standings tiebreaker purposes.
okay,
So
well
like
well,
you
that
look on NBA.com and see
or they could put
the
like an
Thunder finished
asterisk.
like, 74 and
An
10 or
asterisk.
whatever if they were to win the cup, but like
Um,
something
yeah,
along those
I
lines.
think you have to put people's lives on the line. I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, going back to your original idea, just
You
sacrificing
have
people.
to. You have. Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
but I think,
well,
oh, go
what's
ahead,
the
Joseph.
purpose of doing the double wins if it really is accomplishing the tiebreaker
Yeah, we could.
end?
Yeah, it could just be what you originally said, Josie, of just like giving teams a tiebreaker. I was just thinking like, by having those extra 2 wins, that would kind of do a lot to separate. Because a lot of times,
You know what? I sorry to cut you off. I think what they should add another round to the elimination, or maybe at least add two more. Or I'm not. I can't
yeah,
do
I was
math
gonna
right
say
now.
honestly, like we talked about the schedule. I think for one, yeah, definitely push the start back. There's no reason why it needs like the cup games need to
I don't
begin
think.
this like second week of the season. It
I
doesn't.
don't
That,
think
Yeah,
4 cup games is enough either.
Yeah, I was gonna say like double the group stage amount of games, like play every team twice instead of just
Like, why
once.
can't most are if this is going to be such a big part of the NBA and matter so much to the NBA, why can't the majority of the games early on in the season or whenever they decide to start it from be cup games? Why can't for the 2, 3, 4 week span just be cup games? I have no
Hmm.
problem with that because they're not even if you don't think they're that much better, they're no worse than your average NBA game. So I don't see why we can't have a lot of cup games where it gives teams more of a chance where if you have two bad nights in the group stage, you're fucked. You have no chance. Like you
Right.
literally don't have a chance. If you lose two games, you could have like let's say one I'm pretty sure there's an example. Or the Pistons. Like I think Cade or they had a bunch of players miss time and they got screwed over that might have not actually lined up with like the cup games. I don't know. If you have one player get injured, you are potentially screwed from this thing that's supposed to be a tournament that they want to make more meaningful and whatnot. How are you going to get people to care about something when they get screwed out of it because they had their best player got the flu for 2 days and couldn't play in
Hmm.
a game, so they lost one game out of four, and they're like, "Oh, that's sorry,
Right.
it's not fair." I hate to be like, "Oh, it's not fair," but if you want fans to care about it, it has to be somewhat fair. And right now, the format is just there's not enough chance to do anything in it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that if you want to make fans care more, like there's very few ways that you can incentivize fans more, but I think actually expanding it would make it matter more. Like you said, like if we just double the group stage games, you play every team twice. I also think,
Because
what do you
think
guys think
about it.
about this? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no, sorry. Finish this thought.
Think about this. There were 8 fan bases who really cared about the cup this year if you were not an outsider who watches a lot of other teams. Literally 8 teams. There were 8 teams, your team was in the elimination stage. So if you weren't a fan of one of those 8 teams, then it's like, okay, like why I don't really have an incentive to watch this because if I don't feel that these games are extra special, like more fan bases need to be involved.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I think expanding the group stage. I also think another way to get like a little bit more hype behind these games, rather than like drawing these, I don't know if they're random. I don't know exactly how they decide the groups, but rather than just drawing these different teams, like five random teams from each conference into these groups, why not just make it the divisions? Everyone talks about how like division rivalries in general aren't really a thing in the NBA. I think if you just make the groups the divisions, like that would add a ton more hype to these games. Like
I agree. And even though the divisions aren't balanced, I think that's part of the point is
yeah, and I think that kind of
like
that's cyclical anyway. Like yes, like the Atlantic Division is historically way better than like the
give us a
Southeast.
little bit of a football feel for a little part of the season.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I think it would add a little bit more intensity to these games if it was like Celtics versus Sixers every year or something like
And then
that.
we
You know what I
got
mean?
to
Like
see whoever the hell comes out of the god awful division that is, the
the
east,
Southeast.
east, southeast. Yeah,
Yeah, the
I almost
Southeast is
said
a
east,
disaster.
south.
Yeah,
The
no,
cup
the Hornets and
rivals thing.
Wizards, they do exist
They
in the
do
Southeast
exist.
Conference,
They are basketball teams, kind
yeah,
of.
I think that would just make it a ton more sense. It would also just simplify things. Like I think that if you're trying to get people to buy into this new idea, people not understanding why it's these five teams in a group, like I think it would just make a ton more sense to just make it divisions and then just expand it. Like have every team play twice and push it back a little bit. Like I feel like there's enough hype in the opening week of the NBA season. Like the excitement is already there, and I don't feel like
Holy
it dies
shit.
down until like at least like 2 weeks out. Like you don't need to start the cup games right then and there. Like push it out a little bit more because then the other thing too is you're overlapping. Like I know they do like Tuesday for the cup games and stuff to avoid football, but like if you push it out a little bit further, then you can have because think about it. The tomorrow's December 16th. That's when the cup is going to end. Almost to the day, we have 4 more months of the regular season. So you still have that long drag of games where it's like, how do we fill that time with excitement? So like
That's
push it
why
back a little bit further, have it line up like post NFL playoffs so that you have less competition as well and you're
Well,
extending it
March
into the season.
Madness.
well you think
Yeah, you
think
can
about
end it
that
before March Madness and have it lead right into March Madness. I think that's perfect.
or
Okay.
you think about how like think about the NBA in terms of like time periods. You have like the beginning of the season from like I'd say for the very start of the season, mid October to now ish is when you still have the feel of like the excitement of the new season. The excitement of the new season started to die down. I feel like around the point where we're at
I would
right
say like
now.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So like the excitement of the new season's been dwindling down the past like week or two, 2, 3 weeks.
So this is
So
when I
now
would
you
start it. Yeah.
yeah, so then you have this lull of where okay, the All-Star game and All-Star weekend is still not for a few more months. Then you have excitement of the new season, then you have NBA Cup season, then you have All-Star game, All-Star break, then you have the final stretch, and then you have the NBA playoffs. So that's like everything broken down into like a nice block schedule, like you're in middle school again, where everything is just kind of this is this time, then this is this time, then this is this time, and it keeps the fans engaged because there is a central theme, I guess, to this time period of the league where you have certain feelings and expectations.
All right, coming back just to wrap up, talk about like the schedule and everything. Like we were saying, I think doubling the number of group stage games would make a ton of sense. It would just add more investment from the fans. It would just mean more. But then also just like pushing it back a little bit. Like we are saying, just filling that like actual middle part of the schedule. If you guys recall, this was originally branded as the mid-season tournament for a hot minute before they changed it to in-season
Dude, I
tournament.
forgot about that, the
Before then
mid-season.
changing it to the Emirates NBA Cup. Yeah, I think just pushing it back a little bit would make a ton of sense. Because for it to start while you still kind of have the hype going on of the beginning of the season, like you don't need kind of that extra excitement. We should wait until that sort of lull period about 20 games in or so. It would also, like we said, like kind of let us figure out who the good and the bad teams are. And we would get probably like some better results out of these cup games as well. Although I do think like historically now we have had the better teams kind of advance through, but
The
I think it
fucking
would just
Bucks
make for
won it
better
last
basketball.
year.
Yeah, but the Bucks were a pretty solid team beginning of last season. Like I feel like they kind of died down as the year
Yeah,
went
that's
on.
actually
But
true. That's true.
so yeah, I think just pushing it back to where like even just push it back like a month or so, right? And give it a couple extra games. That way it ends like right before the All-Star break, like beginning of February, end of January timeframe. I think that would just make a ton more sense. It would just fit the purpose of this tournament much more. I think that just
No.
makes I think it makes a ton more sense.
Yeah, I think the way that they've rebranded it three times almost is fitting with how confused they are with what it's actually supposed to be and what
Yeah.
they're supposed to be getting out of it, or what the fans are supposed to be getting out of it, whether it's just a money ploy to get the Emirates sponsorship. I don't know. I think it is what it is right now, and we should appreciate that some of the games are better basketball, and we should appreciate the fact that we're getting some playoff level games between really good competition early on in the season. I'd like them to move it a little bit later. I'd like them to maybe consider doing the divisions for the groups, but I think overall it hasn't hurt or anything, or people acting like this was going to be some huge detriment to the NBA are also really not in the right either. Like at the minimum, it's minimal, it's marginally additive at this point, at the bare minimum.
Right.
So it's not doing any bad. I think the banner thing is kind of funny. I really don't think the team should be forced to hang a banner for it. I really disagree with that part. Maybe give them like a smaller ring or even a ring. I think a ring would make it mean more than having to watch these players put up a banner that they probably don't even want
I
up
feel like
there.
the ring would hold more like you would get clowned even
Gimmicky.
more so for a ring than a banner.
Yeah,
I feel
Chris
like.
Paul finally got a ring and he
Yeah,
was
right. Like
winning.
I feel like
Yeah.
those memes or
I
whatever would.
guess, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's
I
the
think
thing is
definitely expanding the cup games a little bit. I think turning the groups into the divisions makes sense.
the
And
only way that the gimmicky feeling is going to go away is with time. I think the longer this goes on and the more
right.
ingrained it becomes in NBA fans' mind, and just it's the bare or it's the standard. It becomes one of just like the MVP award or the playoffs or the All-Star
Mhm.
game. It's just something that comes along with the league. So I think by the time that it really as the history actually gets lengthened and as there's
Mhm.
more than just because right now we have two past champions. So when it's like, okay, the Lakers they stink, like oh, like the Lakers like they didn't do anything that season, or like then it's the Bucks, like oh the Bucks stink, they blew it up the next season. If let's say the Knicks go out and at least make the finals this season, if teams start winning it and then actually go on to win the championship or go on to be finals contenders, then I think it starts to have more value. When you look at it, is this is a legitimate indicator of what teams are going to become
Mhm.
contenders later on in the season.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the Pacers made it to the semifinals last year, right? They lost to the
Yeah, I mean
Bucks.
they did something. I think. I mean
Yeah, I
the
think
Thunder
Thunder.
were in the
what'll really make
finals.
it stick is like you're saying with the history. Like I think we need like an iconic
That's the thing
finals
is like
game.
that was a good example though. You didn't remember the matchups because they haven't been memorable matchups so far.
Right.
Once we get those memorable matchups that happen, like we have like the OKC Spurs San Antonio game. I think that was a perfect example of those kind of games are going to become landmarks for what the tournament becomes in the future. Those kind of games are going to be why people get excited about this tournament when you have those storylines perfectly matching up against each other in these big moments where Wemby cares. Wemby wanted it more. Wemby did care about getting an NBA Cup and wants this banner or whatever the hell it means to him. He wants it. So I think when you have those kind of games, it's only been 3 years, and the fact that we had a game that's probably going to be remembered as long as it was for this past night's game with Chet and Wemby. This is the type of games that we just need to build on, and then it will get to where I think people and Adam Silver want it to be at.
Yeah, I think especially if we get Thunder Spurs again next year in the semifinal, or like Knicks Spurs again in the final, something like
Well,
that.
yeah, some rivalries. Like you need
Right.
history, like the finals, like teams matching up, the Cavs and Warriors matchups, or
Hmm.
the Spurs Heat. Any of these teams, they have history with each other, so there's reason for you to want to tune into those matchups, even if you're not a fan of those teams.
Right. Yeah, so I think in time we'll start to see it. We just need like some iconic performances, some like really
Like we need
memorable
Josie
games.
Cook to go out there and drop 38 points on 102% true shooting.
Yes, exactly. That would make me much more excited at the cup.
For
If Josie
real.
went out there and dropped 30, yeah, I'd be invested for sure.
Don't forget my 19 assists, guys.
Oh, sorry. Dude, they're easily to forget when you put up 102% true shooting.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I know.
Yeah.
So amazing game, but
So yeah, to talk about the actual basketball when it comes to the cup here, we can either, we can talk about Thunder Spurs or we could just dive right into the Knicks Spurs preview. But yeah, like
Well,
we
I mean,
said,
briefly, what did you think about Knicks Magic? Because that was less
I
exciting.
thought I thought it was a great game in the first half.
It was
Jalen Suggs was having the best offensive game of his life. Then he busted his hip, and I just think the game was just not the same after that. Like the Knicks
pretty
just kind of
much.
pulled away at
That's a
that point.
very accurate.
But
I just
watching the Magic in that first half, I was like, wow, like this is what the Magic envisioned when they
I
got
just
Desmond Bain
want
and everything. Like,
to briefly apologize, or not apologize. I'm not going to apologize because I think everything I said was warranted. Give props to Cat for his last two games because
mm,
he's had his two best, I think, all around games of the season, both in bigger stages against the Raptors, who are a playoff team at the moment, no matter what they've been doing the past whatever or so games.
right.
And then, obviously the Magic are also a good team, even with the injuries. So I think him playing well defensively too was, big thing for me to look at and be like, okay, this makes me feel better if you can at least be competent against the top teams. OKC was another story. Part of me wanted to see the Thunder not lose that game because I wanted to see how the Knicks would match up against them and get a potential finals preview because as good as the Spurs are, like I don't think they're making the finals this year. That would have been interesting for me to see those two teams match up and see how Cat fares against them or see how the best offense arguably in the league matches up against OKC because Denver did a good job last year with their offense. I was really interested to see that, but I think overall I just have to give Cat his props because I've harped on how much I don't think the Knicks can be a championship team with him like this. As much as I still think it's hard for me to envision this team beating a team like the Thunder with how they're constructed, with Cat being the defensive weakness that he is. I just wanted to give him props because I have also been very, very harsh. And I think I owe it to the man to at least say, I see you. I see you, Big Cat. I see
Fair
you.
enough.
we
Yeah,
see you,
yeah,
Cat.
he's definitely been a little bit better. Yeah, I think the Knicks in general, like the Knicks are absolutely rolling right now. Like their last 10 or 12 games, like they've just looked like a well-oiled machine for the most part.
And then that
But yeah,
Boston game.
well, yeah, save that. But for the most part, yeah, like they've kind of been gelling really well as of late. So kind of nice to see them kind of put it together on a bigger stage like this. But yeah, as far as the Magic go, like they look really good for a second there, but if they're not going to be at full strength, it's just tough.
Also, I mean, not to say I told you so. I mean, it's not like I told you so, but like the Jalen Suggs thing when we were talking about Anthony Black versus Jalen Suggs,
Hey,
Anthony Black was still in that game. I did not feel really much impact at all from him. I do some nights. There are some nights where Anthony Black is great, but Jalen Suggs is the literal engine that drives them. The minute he wasn't himself in that game, the tires just all got holes in them. They all ran flat.
right.
Jalen Suggs, offensively and defensively, is the not only just like the glue. He's the oil. He's the engine. He's everything that makes them go and everything that gives them their identity. Obviously, having Franz back would have helped, but Paolo, man, has just been so garbage. I don't know what else to say other than he's been garbage.
Yeah, I don't want to dip too deep into like a Palo discussion because I know you and I can go like hours on that. So we'll table that for now. But yeah, I really feel like Jalen Suggs
But yeah,
is like the modern day. I don't know if it's a modern day. It's not like he's retired now, but he really is kind of like Marcus Smart 2.0, I think, for this Magic team. Like when you think about like
better
prime
offensive
Marcus
Marcus
Smart
Smart.
for the Celtics. Yeah, that's where the 2.0 comes in because he's like much more than just like
Yeah,
competent on
he's
the right.
new
Like
and improved.
Marcus Smart was like so up and down offensively. He might hit seven threes. He might go 0 for 7 with four turnovers,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just feel like he fills such a similar role of being like the heart of the team, and you really saw that against the Knicks. Like Anthony Black is cool, but I'm with you with that discussion about like Suggs versus Black. I think Suggs is just so valuable to what the Magic do. But
Anyway,
yeah, I
you can
mean,
get in. We can get into the more exciting
yes,
game,
the
the
absolute
Spurs Thunder.
cinema that was Spurs Thunder. Obviously, Wemby missing the first quarter. I think he got subbed in like 15 minutes into the game, like 3 minutes into the second quarter. You could feel immediately just the shift
Oh
when
yeah.
he checked into the game. I mean, the first like I don't know 8 minutes or so of the first quarter, I think it was like 22-10, something like that, and it was like all right.
hmm
Just another OKC game. Like they're just gonna run it up on here, and like it's wraps. But then Wemby comes into the game, completely changes it. I think was it tied at halftime? What was the halftime score?
They were
It was
down
pretty close.
40. It's 49-46 or
Yeah,
49-43
they
off the
brought it
top of
pretty
my
close.
head.
I think it was tied at one point late in the second quarter there and into the third. Just completely shifted the dynamic. And like, shout out to Chet specifically, but also just to any other players that you want to kind of put in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year. But it's just a different level with Wemby, man. Like, not only is like Chet is a great defensive player, don't get me wrong. I think he is like I'm referencing him because I think he's like the leader for Defensive Player of the Year right now. He's great. He obviously like is I would say like the head of the snake when it comes to OKC's great defense, or maybe like the end of the snake because he protects the rim. I don't know,
He's
but
yeah, end of the snake. He's
yeah,
the
whatever you want to put
rattlesnake.
it, like, but it's just a different level. Like Wemby is just so game breaking when defensively that he's just going to own the Defensive Player of the Year award anytime he plays 65 games. So his impact. But honestly, though, I do want to give credit to the rest of the Spurs too. Like it's not like he's just like propping up this Spurs defense. They got a ton of guys defensively. Like I've been very impressed with Dylan Harper. It's very rare for rookies to come in and be good defenders, especially guys who are considered like ball dominant, like offensive type guys. He's really good defensively. Like he's strong.
which
He
I was not
uses his
expecting
size
at
really
all.
well. Like he cared. You could tell he wants to like play really good defense. Stephon
Hmm.
Castle, we knew was going to be a good defender, but he's been fantastic. I just think this Spurs team in general just has such great defensive personnel, and then you just add Wemby on top of it, and it's just like, you just felt it, man. You just felt his impact there, especially like in that second quarter.
Shit, yeah, man. I'm looking for the stat. I can't find it. I lost it. But there's something. Someone was saying like this might be the most like impactful 22 minutes of basketball ever played in a single game because the on-off numbers with him on the court, their defensive rating was 85, and I'm pretty sure with him off of the court, it was like 122 or something. 85 defensive rating is
That's
ridiculous, but for
unreal. That's
the swing to
unreal.
go from off from bad defense to this is the best defense of all time on the court right now, it's kind of insane just
Mhm.
Well,
because what
it's heavily inflated by the fact, as Dion said, they had subbed him in when the Thunder's bench
Right.
was in.
That's
No
fair.
Chet was in. No, I don't even think J-Dub was in when they subbed him in. And he immediately got off too. Like those first 5 minutes, he had 5 points, 5 rebounds, and it was like plus 10 immediately.
Hmm.
Like I think that was like actually a very creative way to get Wemby going. And he said after the game they rested me for 3 weeks, and
Mm.
I am ready. I was ready to play basketball today, and I'm like, man, dude. Anytime they have the luxury of resting this guy, it's over for the other team because he is a different level.
Yeah, and then some of the shots he was hitting in that second half too, like
well
that
the
play
fourth
where like
quarter the
Caruso swatted the
14
ball out of his hands, he still recovered it and went right up with the shot, and that was insane.
It was high level.
I mean,
It
I
was,
think the shot that we're gonna remember for years to come with this rivalry is obviously the fadeaway over Chet or with
oh yeah,
Chet in his
the
face.
baseline fadeaway jumper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
around
that
the
But
was
right
that was like a
side.
replay of a play that happened like 2 years ago. It was like the exact same play where Chet was just trying to, do his normal fadeaway, but Wemby is way too big for that.
yeah.
So
There was also a play too. I forget. I think it was Castle inbounding, but Castle was inbounding. I think it was under the hoop. Just
oh, and
throws it
Wemby
up to
just yeah,
Wemby, just grabs it with his left hand,
yeah.
immediately dunks it. I was like, this
Yeah.
is just unfair, dude.
That
He's
was
done
like
that a few times, but it
that
was
was
just
literally
like,
a 2K animation where you just double tap triangle on the inbound and he just
yeah,
reaches
the
over
game
them
kind
and
of
gets a
glitches out because you're just right there. Yeah.
yeah.
That, and
Oh
then
my
I think
God.
honestly too that like 360 shot that Castle hit in the first half, that was insane. Where he's just like
He's
drives to the
so
basket,
good.
just kind of gets turned around and puts it in.
There were so many weird finishes in that game, probably because of how long both those players are, Victor
Mhm.
Wembanyama and Chet. Like, you have to make a hard finish to get the ball,
Right.
you know,
They
in the
have
basket.
they have just the guard depth that they have is unmatched by any team, I think, right now, even with like the youth that they have. Just the fact that you can get De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, or Stephon Castle all to run the offense and do it at a high rate and have the ball in any of their hands to start a play or take it up the court. They will find their teammates. They will do it by themselves. They will get by pretty much anyone. Those are three of the hardest, quick, first steps to stop in the entire
Mhm.
league. Like I know Harper's a rookie, the dude is lightning quick. He's not the fastest, I think, foot speed wise, but how fast he can change angles and
Yeah,
how
he's just
fast he can.
crafty with it,
Yeah,
man.
his
Yeah.
pace, his deceleration, as people like to talk about with SGA, is really good. I'm just so jealous of the depth that they have and the luxury of all these guys being under 28 years. Or
Yeah.
how old is De'Aaron Fox? I don't know off the top of my head how
He's
old
probably
Fox
28
is.
off the top of my head.
That's why I said 28. That was my guess at De'Aaron Fox's age without
He
having it
is
in front of me.
27. He actually
Okay, so he's
he'll be turning 28 on the 20th. So there you
okay.
go.
So exactly like you can't go wrong with any of them. I don't think there's a need to get rid of any of them. I think having all three of them on the team is perfectly good and fine and helps everything that they're doing. They're just all really good, and they're three of my favorite guards to watch play, and they're all on the same team, and they can all play together, which a lot of people were skeptical about, but every single time I've seen any combination of the two on the court together, I haven't had really any worries or been like, oh, this looks really bad. Like De'Aaron Fox isn't shooting well enough, or Stephon
Yeah,
Castle
Fox being
hasn't
a
been able.
good shooter this year
Yeah,
has made a huge difference in that regard. Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is one of those guys who has the potential to be a good shooter. He's had, I think, his second or third season in the league, he was like a 40% 3-point shooter, and then it
Third year,
never
yeah.
happened again.
Yep.
And then, but there's just too much with his ability. That one dribble pull
Oh,
up that he
second.
has is one of his favorite shots to take, and he's been really efficient with it from what I've watched this season.
100%. Yeah, like the dribble penetration ability is just so elite between those three guys. And then on the other
I
side,
just
like you
glazed them
got
so
SGA and
much,
J-Dub
but
on the other side too. Like it's just an insane level of finishing ability between these two teams in this game, and we saw it play out like we were talking about. So yeah, this is obviously a little bit of a rivalry that I think we're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years. Or at least I
for
hope so.
sure.
I think we kind of like preemptively talk about these kind of things, but it actually looks like it's going to line up this way where, we're going to see these teams face off quite a few times. Like I think about like, what year is it? What 22, right? When Celtics and the Bucks faced off in that conference finals, and it was like, dang, like we're going to see this matchup for the next 5 years, and then that didn't end up happening. That quickly got disbanded, but I think this is one where, and I'll throw the Rockets in there too. I think like the state of Texas and Oklahoma, like we're just going to see the Western
Yeah.
Conference get run through because obviously even with the Mavs too, with Cooper Flag, if they can figure that out, like those four teams are just going to run the West for the next 10, 12 years, I think. So
Yeah, the length and defense on those teams is
have
yeah,
ridiculous.
the
not to just
I-35 corridor is about to be
not to shit on
probably where it's
Chet
at.
or do like a little Chet hater thing at because I have nothing bad to really say about Chet. I just has he had like a moment yet against Wemby, or has it all been Wemby against him?
In the NBA, he's had mild moments, but his biggest moment against Wembanyama came before either of
Mhm.
them were in the NBA. They faced off and Chet got the better of them.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
was it U19s? Yeah.
yeah,
Something
I
like that. It
remember
was a
that.
huge game, but
So since the
yeah.
NBA though, it's pretty fair to say Wemby's kind of dominated him so
Both of
far.
them have played limited games. I mean, we've missed some of these matchups,
Mhm.
so um but yeah, we've seen two of those blocks where Wembanyama gets Chet on a fadeaway. So I'm not too eager to see that one again from Chet.
I'm not like not to say this is like a negative about Chet, but I feel like he's almost in his head some of these big games or these games where we talk about Chet needing to have a big game, like in the finals last year, where he wants to do too much, but he's also scared to do anything at all, where he's scared to play his usual game. Like it doesn't feel like the game was coming to him, where he feels the pressure and he's trying to prove something. I don't know if you guys felt that at all.
Yeah,
I
a
thought
little
he
bit.
was fine. I mean, if you look at the numbers, he had one of the better games from the Thunder. He held it down on the defensive end, and he didn't really guard Wembanyama that much. Jalen
Yeah.
Williams was on him.
Yep.
Um, Wembanyama did guard him, however.
Yeah.
So in some moments, obviously Wemby didn't play a lot of minutes versus when Chet was on the floor. But I felt like Chet was fine. He was his normal self. And as to the finals last year, I wouldn't say that this narrative is something I'm thinking about yet because I think he was so much slowed down compared to where he is right now in
Yeah.
the finals last year,
That's fair.
coming off that injury.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely noticed it more so in the finals than against the Spurs. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's
he didn't
definitely
really he
some.
didn't have a bad game against the Spurs. I just felt like in the big moments it felt like it was Wemby getting the
I
better of
think
him.
there's something to it. You can kind of see him like the gears turning in his head as he plays.
Yeah.
But
There's
um,
an aura shift when Wembanyama
yeah,
gets on the
yeah,
floor.
right,
He takes it from Shea.
right. But I wanted to talk about because you mentioned J-Dub had kind of like the primary assignment. Caruso had a ton of minutes on Wemby. Shifting towards the final game. Like Nate, who do you think gets the primary matchup? Are we gonna see Cat on Wemby or does OG make more sense to you?
Mitchell Robinson's probably going to play the most minutes he's played this season, is going
Oh,
to be
okay,
my guess.
okay,
Because Mitch guarded him, I'm pretty sure the first game the Knicks ever played against Wemby, and he actually did a pretty solid job. He talked about it before the game. He compared it to Porzingis. He said you just got to guard him like Porzingis and make him shoot three or something about like making him get his shots from the outside, blah, blah, blah. He wants to shoot from out there. I don't think Mitchell Robinson is going to shut down Victor Wembanyama, but in terms of the Knicks' best option for making him at least work for his shots, Mitch is the only guy on the Knicks that he's not going to be able to just shoot the ball over, and Mitch can probably move with somewhat on the perimeter. Mitch is a pretty competent defender when it comes to stepping on the perimeter. He's not like your Rudy Gobert in his prime or like your Victor Wembanyama or your Bam Adebayos, but he does a decent job. His defense has been not as good this season as it's been in years past. but he did have a really good game against the Magic, who are a team that has a good amount of size. I'm not confident exactly in him doing the best. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Wemby goes out and has 40 and 20 again, like he did when Jalen Brunson went for 60. But I also look at the Spurs side of things, and I don't think they have a great matchup for Brunson either, because Brunson really does his best work, or Brunson does his best work against bigger guys. Like when you put bigger guys on Brunson, that's when he loves to exploit you. He's going to go by you. He's going to use his footwork. He's going to draw fouls that people are going to complain about on Twitter. Like he draws 15 million fouls a game, even though he's 20th in the league in free throw attempts. Sorry, I had to just get that in there really quick. But they don't have that small pesky defender like the Andrew Nemhards or the TJ McConnells, who are the ones that really can knock Brunson a little bit off kilter. I don't think there's really a great option to guard Brunson regardless, anybody in the league right now. But these are two teams that play a very different style of basketball. So I think that's where I'm interested to see. The Spurs are definitely going to have their work cut out for them offensively. This is a team that constantly moves. They constantly cut. They shoot a lot of threes. And Wemby's going to have to be moving a lot, which is, I don't know how many minutes that the Spurs are going to be comfortable playing Wemby in this game, because we saw
That's
him
the
on the
key.
yeah. I think the biggest thing right now is the Knicks are hoping that Wemby plays as few minutes as possible.
100%. Yeah. He played what we say 22 minutes against the Thunder. We'll probably see
Yeah,
him 25,
it was,
26 somewhere in there. But knowing Wemby, I'm sure he'll try to push it as much as he possibly can. Like I know he wants this game for sure.
and if
But
it's
I don't.
close, and he's pushing that edge, I'm sure, or pushing like the border of we
Mhm.
got to, he's going to play those minutes.
Right. Yeah, he'll definitely max out whatever they allow for
But
him.
I also wouldn't be surprised to see Cat on him, to a certain degree when he has the ball in his hands, because Cat's much better at guarding on ball than he is,
Yeah, in
guarding within a
space. Yeah, don't
system.
put yeah, don't let
Yeah.
Cat guard in space because my God.
Yeah. Because
Um,
if they're having Cat follow, Wemby off the ball, it's going to be a 10-0 Spurs run, in the blink of an eye.
right, 100%. But I'm actually really interested to see that Spurs guard trio go up against Brunson. Because, like you said, yeah, Brunson definitely has his way with like the bigger guards because he's generally going to be a lot quicker than them. I don't know that that's going to apply here. Like between Fox, Harper, and Castle, like
It's
they have
not
the
the
speed to
quickness though.
contain
It's
him.
not the quickness. It's the footwork, and it's the angles that he gets to.
That
Brunson
that's fair,
has
but
better footwork than any small guard in the league, and it's like not
yeah, no,
particularly
I don't
close.
even know who I
Well,
would put number two, but I think they're pretty well equipped. Like obviously, like you said, no one can really guard Brunson like that. I think he's kind of reached that echelon of player where like you
But
kind of
I
just
don't.
like hope for
The
the best in that
Spurs,
regard. But
the
I don't know.
Spurs have athletic, quick, and like they're good at reacting to things on the spot, but they're also not like the smartest defenders. I don't look
That's fair.
at the Spurs and think these guys are, they don't. I don't think they know what Brunson wants to do, or they're not like TJ McConnell is a very smart defender. Andrew Nemhard is a very smart defender. I'm trying to think of other guys that have guarded Brunson well in the past. Like Asar Thompson is a pretty smart defender, even though Asar's like kind of a outlier because he's just like a 6'7" athletic freak who can guard
Right,
anybody.
right.
So I don't really. Davion Mitchell has done a good job against Brunson in the past because he is a smart defender. I don't look at Harper, De'Aaron Fox. I definitely don't look at as a smart defender. I don't look at Harper and Castle as necessarily smart defender. I don't see they're not like low IQ defenders, but they are
Yeah,
not
they're young.
experienced guys.
Yeah,
They're young, unseasoned guys where they haven't gone up against Brunson many times. I don't think has Stephon Castle. I don't know if Stephon Castle played in the game. He might have. I honestly don't remember. All I remember is the Wemby 40 and the Brunson 60. But Wemby or Brunson's one of those guys who I think you need experienced guarding to be able to handle his type of game. It's not going to be an easy night for any of them. Do they have the talent to do it? Yeah, sure. Like Brunson could have a bad game. No, he won't. He's not gonna have a bad game. What am I saying? He's not gonna have a bad game. The only way that I think that the Spurs, or not the only way, the way that the Spurs are going to have to attack is you have to go after Cat. That is what they have to do. They have the quickness. They have, they play team basketball. They have 9 guys deep that can all play, 20 plus minutes on any given night. They have more flexibility right now than the Knicks do. The Knicks are relying a lot on their starters with Deuce McBride out and Landry Shamet out. The depth is definitely not what you want it to be at. Jordan Clarkson might be a hard guy for the Knicks to play against the Spurs because of their quick guard play and because of the fact that they pretty much can expose any one bad defender on the court at any given time.
yeah, yeah. I do think we're gonna see a lot of Brunson middies though, because yeah, I'm sure he'll be able to get by these San Antonio guards, but he ain't doing nothing in the paint. He ain't doing nothing in
mm,
the paint. So it's gonna have to be a lot of
Did a
floaters.
lot in the paint the
Obviously, that
last
plays to
game.
his strengths, but
uh,
I think it'll come
it
down to that.
really,
Go ahead, Josie.
sorry, one last thing. It really is a different energy when you have Wembanyama behind you too.
Yeah.
Like those guards were doing a great job against Shea. at the end of that game. They forced him into the step back threes pretty much all of the last shots he took. And not to say he couldn't have found a better shot, but they were doing a really nice job against him. So I would not be surprised if Wembanyama's in the game that they do a good job against Brunson.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the key though, is the Knicks have to dominate the non-Wemby minutes. That's going to be the big difference maker is how big of a lead you take in those non-Brunson minutes. Because if you take Wemby off the court, I think this Knicks team is a better team than the Spurs on paper and in terms of the matchup. I think when you're talking about other guys coming in and helping on Wemby, though, like McHale and OG are going to be trapping a lot in the post. They're going to be making Wemby work for everything. That's one of the things the Knicks do actually really well defensively is doubling and trapping the post and getting steals and running in transition. OG and McHale do that maybe better than any two
Mhm.
guys in the league. And that's what you're going to have to do. Is you're going to have to make Wemby work offensively when he's in the game so that he can't be giving you 110% on defense like we're used to seeing from him because he is that game-breaking defender that can completely shut down an offense. And the Knicks do have those old tendencies where they would fall into a standstill and the offense wouldn't be moving as much. They haven't really done that, granted, the last 10 or 15 so games. Josh Hart is also going to have to push transition a lot. He's going to have to be the one to challenge those San
Yeah,
Antonio guards
that's
for
that's
rebounds because
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
something that people don't talk about at all about Stephon Castle is he is such a good rebounder for a guard. Dylan Harper's actually a pretty good rebounder too, even if the numbers might not show it. Everyone on the Spurs crashes the boards, and that's something the Knicks do well also. So they have to make sure that they're ready for that because the rebounding battle is not going to be as easy as it is some nights against these other teams.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Josh Hart. I wanted to kind of wrap with that there. I think this game comes down to which team. I think it's going to be specifically like Josh Hart versus like Vassell and Harrison Barnes, etc. Which team is going to have the role players hit more of those like kick out, catch and shoot threes? Because I think we're going to see a ton of collapsing on Wemby, like you said with McHale and OG. I think we're going to see a ton of collapsing on Brunson. It's just going to be a matter of which group of role players is going to hit those like shots because similar to the way teams play the OKC Thunder and they kind of funnel everything to Lou Dort, I think we're going to see a lot of the same strategy with Josh Hart when he's out there on the floor. So if he can hit a couple shots, really space the floor, if Vassell's going to have his shot going or like Harrison Barnes, like those are I think going to be like the determining factors here in
Yeah,
this game.
that's what they did down the stretch was someone might have to step up for the Knicks if it's close other
Yeah.
than Brunson because they just did not let Brunson get the ball in that. You guys remember the Christmas Day matchup
Hmm.
where McHale hit the game winner in the
Yep.
midi. I think McHale's going to be the guy who has to step up again too because last time they were the one or he was the one that they were kind of not helping off of necessarily, but making him beat them. I think they're going to have to make McHale or OG is going to be the one to have to beat them this time.
100%. All right, final predictions. Who you got, Josie? Who's winning the 2025 Emirates NBA Cup? Who you got?
I have for the 2025 Emirates NBA Cup, I have the New York Knickerbockers by 5.
Okay, got you. Nate, I know you're riding with the Knicks,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I think it'd
our
be
prediction.
it'd be ill will of me. I think at the end of the
Yeah,
day, like Kenny said, you got to sometimes at the end of the day, you just got to be a fan. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Knicks. I think that it's gonna be a close game, but I think they get the win.
fair. I'm going Spurs in an absolute nail biter. I'm gonna say by 4 points because like some free throws at the end of the day get involved, which
All
is
right,
another thing. It's kind of like a shitty end to Spurs OKC, but is what it is. Not much you can do about it.
Yeah,
it
we'll have to talk
is
about
what
that.
it is.
But that'll do it for this episode. I think we'll wrap it there. Very excited about tomorrow's game, or I guess today by the time you guys are listening. But make sure to subscribe to the pod. Really helps us to grow. Tell your friends about us. Follow us on all socials at 2for1hoops. And we'll be back with another episode this weekend, unless it snows insanely in West Virginia once again. But that's, besides the point. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day.